Hello, ladies. This is Leah Kalani. With Purim a day away, I want to share a couple of things about Queen Esther and the power of concealment. Queen Esther's name is connected to the Hebrew word Hester, which means hidden. The Talmud says the Torah hints to her role in the future, and the pasuk is found in Devarim 31:18. Anochi Haster Astir Panai Bayom Hahu Al Kol Hara'a Asher Asa Ki Pana El Elohim Achirim. And I will hide my face on that day because of all the evil they have committed when they turn to other deities. We see Hashem is not mentioned once in Megillat Esther, and we know that does not mean Hashem was not involved, just hidden. This tells us that Bnei Israel's salvation required more human effort, and with Esther leading the way from her feminine power to save our nation. So before Esther, we have a number of Jewish women who are role models for us as to what it means to embrace Shersani Kirtsono. These Jewish women, using their femininity in how they approach their circumstances, experience miracles and nevuah, as well as being guided by their intuition. Notice that the Megillah begins the story around a rebellious wife. Vashti was not wrong in refusing to be degraded in such a manner. She was the queen, and royalty is expected to be treated with a high degree of respectability. And Achashverosh was not of royal blood, so he was not going to elevate his conduct to one of refinement anytime soon. So the concerns of the men in the royal court were that if Vashti gets away with being willful with the king, then the rest of the men would have similar experiences with rebellious wives. So the immediate response was to decree unconditional obedience of the women under penalty of death. You see, Vashti did not use her femininity when addressing how she was being treated. Her actions challenged Achashverosh, and the men in the royal court responded to her challenges with fierceness. It seems to me that we can learn from Vashti that when a woman does not use her true feminine power in relation to the men in her life, that he will feel challenged. And in response to her challenge, a man will either confront the challenge head on or will ignore the confrontation altogether, depending on the man. And no matter which approach he takes, the woman ultimately suffers for it. So I'm wondering if anyone can relate to this. Moving on to the next scene, the king's messengers are bringing hundreds of girls throughout the country to participate in a contest of sorts to see who will be the next queen. Now all the women, except for Esther, do everything possible to be chosen for this coveted position, and Esther is making every attempt possible to be inconspicuous. Her attempts actually failed, and she is now in the most public position in the Persian Empire. So to quote the Talmud Esther Rabbah, "Let Esther come and rule 127 provinces, for she is the daughter of Sarah, who lived 127 years. So what is the connection between them besides the number 127? Both Sarah and Esther had to take drastic actions to preserve the survival of the Jewish nation. Sarah had to confront Avraham and ask him to remove Yishmael from their home. Now, this was not a small feat. In fact, this was dangerous for Sarah in her day. It was unheard of that a woman would dare tell her husband to remove his firstborn son from the family. It was just unthinkable, and I would even say outright dangerous. And how will we know that? Well, Hashem stepped in. Hashem stepped in and told Avraham to listen to her voice. So here what Sarah was doing was being an Eshet Chayil. Now, Eshet Chayil, the word Chayil, the second word, also has a root word in Chayal, soldier. So a woman of valor could also be a woman who's a soldier. Now, what does a soldier do? A soldier takes risks, goes into dangerous territory in order to protect and save lives, which is usually at the expense of other lives. So we learn from Queen Esther that she never initiated interactions with Achashverosh. She waited until he requested her presence. And that changes when the decree is announced to annihilate the Jewish nation. Mordechai makes it clear that she must take the initiative now. And if she doesn't, for the sake of the Jewish people, then another will replace her. So Esther accepts her fate, gives Mordecai instructions that the nation fast and pray for 3 days. And once Esther took that first step to initiate approaching Ahasuerus, she was putting herself in danger. However, she nullified her own needs, her concerns, and her will for the sake of Am Yisrael. She was not relying on miracles because there were no miracles happening in Persia at that time for her and the Jewish people. Now, notice that Esther, like other women before her in the Torah, when dealing with men of power in the political arena, in relationship, these women do not embrace masculine behavior or traits. Esther doesn't demand her rights as a Jewish that the decree be revoked, because this was a decree of genocide of her own people. She doesn't insist that they have a meeting right now. She doesn't say, we have to talk. No, she invites the king and Haman to lunch for 2 days in a row. She invites them to have a meal with her. And Esther is not forceful. She doesn't speak plainly. She's subtle, feminine, and creates a tone that prompts the desired results to manifest: the destruction of Haman and the salvation of the Jewish people. Esther, like the other women in the Torah, are our role models to be at our feminine best in order to be successful when interacting with the men in our lives. So be on the lookout for future videos where I will be discussing Jewish women, their feminine focus as role models for us. So please comment, like, and subscribe. Let your friends know about this chat room of ours. And thank you again for joining me. Have a wonderful day, a meaningful fast, and a joyful Purim.